Are you the star of your movie? Are you the hero of your story? Hi, welcome to another episode of Unlocking Mind Behind Make More Work Less. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on Unlocking Mind, we talk about another common bias, and the reason why I have this show is so that we can better understand how our minds work, make better decisions, build strong relationships, and of course, avoid certain common traps. So for today's kind of bias, we're going to be talking about the self-relevance effect. So what exactly is that? That is the tendency of our minds to encode information differently depending whether or not we are actually implicated inside the information or not. Our memories are more relatively easier to recall if we are actually involved with that memory rather than a similar memory of somebody else being in that story or in that memory. So why is that? Well, that's because, as I said at the very beginning, are you the star of your movie? Are you the hero of your own story? And usually, as much as we don't want to admit it, we are. We tend to think that things happen around us. We tend to think that we are the heroes or we are the main stars of our stories and of our lives and of our movies. So therefore, that's why when things are more relative, personalized and more related to us, personally, we tend to remember those things better. We tend to recall those things better. Have you ever told a story about somebody else, but forgetting details and other things that might be exciting about that story? But when that person comes in, they tell a much better story because it's their story. Have you ever experienced somebody else telling a story about you, but you tell it much, much better because you have the emotion, you have the highs and lows, you have the details, you have the arm gestures, you have all this great stuff because you live that experience. It's personalized to you. An experiment was done when it comes to memorizing words and memorizing items and memorizing numbers and all that kind of stuff. And what they did was they did certain things to make sure that it's easier remembered by the people that they were giving these numbers and items to. One thing was structuring those numbers or those words very, very well. Another one is to incorporate sound. The other one is using semantics. And then the last one is making it personable to that person. And the thing is, when there's a personal story, when there's personal relations to those items, to those numbers, to those things that they want them to remember, they actually increase their memorability by 3 times compared to just the structure. They actually increase twice as much when compared to just having sound effects or including sound in those memories. So that's why it's so important when we think about passing on a message to somebody else or teaching somebody else a message or teaching an experience to somebody else. It must be delivered in a way so that they can then live it themselves or they can experience it themselves. That's why when I work with my clients, I tend to ask them, okay, what kind of experiences did you have? What did you learn from it? What did you get from that experience? What did you get from that experience? Once I get those stories from them, I can make it so that there's a good lessons learned, which is a lesson I would like to teach. But I'm not using my own story. I'm using their story to teach them their lessons, which makes those lessons even more important and even more relatable because it's their story. And that's why it's so important to think about your message from other people's point of view. It's so important to think about how do you deliver your presentations or your stories by making it more relatable to the audience, making it more relatable to the people that you're working with. And that is self-reliance effect. And that's how we can use it to our advantage. That's how we can make it so that it's more beneficial to other people when you can make it more personalized. So that is self-reliance effect. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Unlocking the Mind. And if you did, please go back and watch some of my other episodes on Unlocking Mind. And of course, we have a lot of other shows, the Peak Potential Success Show, the Make More Mind Bites, and of course, the Master Mind Bites. That's up every single week. So thank you very much for your likes, your time, your subscriptions, your comments. I love seeing those comments. And until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. I'll see you later.